Hey everyone, Walter Haydock here. Welcome back to the Deploy Securely podcast, where I go deep on cyber risk management for AI systems. Today I'm going to be talking about managing fourth party risk when using AI. So, having a consistent and logical framework for managing information security risk from third and greater parties is harder than it seems, as I've written and talked about in the past. And AI unfortunately makes the problem even more challenging. That's why having a policy that extends throughout your entire digital supply chain is so important. Otherwise, you're just going to be playing whack-a-mole. For example, suppose if you ban processing confidential information with third-party generative AI tools. I think this is a fairly restrictive approach and wouldn't recommend it, but if that's what your risk appetite dictates, then do what you need to do. Unfortunately, it's quite possible that your already approved tools, which are not themselves generative AI platforms, are integrating it into their capabilities. And this can introduce fourth party AI risk, like in the case of Asana, which integrates several AI providers to process both the titles and contents of your tasks. So it's important to note that this is optional functionality you can turn off, but it certainly provides a way for an AI company or vendor to process your confidential information, even if you didn't want it to. And you can implement all of the disciplinary measures, all the IP blocking, all the firewalls that you want. But if you don't address the fact that your already approved tools are providing information to vendors like OpenAI, Anthropic, or any other generative AI services, then the above things are pretty much just a waste of time. And in any case, you need to understand how your data is being processed and retained throughout your entire supply chain. If a fourth party is retaining your information, especially if it's confidential information, indefinitely, that greatly increases your risk surface due to the higher risk of a breach that you'll have over an infinite timeline. All right, I'll pause here for a word from our sponsor, which is StackAware. As you can probably gather from listening to the Deploy Securely podcast, I really enjoy going deep on cybersecurity, compliance, and privacy issues as they relate to using AI. And what I've started doing is helping organizations identify and manage this risk as part of a structured assessment process. So if you're interested, please go to stackaware.com. You can get all the details on what an assessment looks like. You can identify all the prerequisites, all the deliverables, and then you can also see some results from other customers who have leveraged the StackAware AI risk assessment, like Reputation, Encore, and Cobalt Robotics. So if that sounds interesting to you and you're struggling with AI risk management and governance, please check out stackaware.com for all the details. All right, back to the show. With Asana, at least they're pretty clear about exactly what they're doing. They provide some good granular controls to turn off the sharing with the fourth party AI providers if desired. For something that's a little more vague, let's look at the Databricks Assistant, which is an AI copilot. While the company has a good FAQ about how things work, there's a pretty gaping hole that's obscured by some clever wording in the statement. They talk a whole lot about Azure OpenAI and all the security measures that it has in place, but that's only one of the options used for processing. The other ones are unnamed. While it's good to know that they aren't training on user inputs, it would be even better to know exactly which tools Databricks is leveraging to power its AI assistant. For example, while they mentioned that Azure OpenAI is not retaining data sent to it via Databricks Copilot or Databricks Assistant, Anthropic, for example, has a default 28-day retention period. So if they are leveraging Anthropic, it could be the case that they are retaining your data then for longer than 0 days as they are with Azure OpenAI. And the fact that they don't identify the other third-party services and index so heavily on Azure OpenAI is somewhat concerning because it kind of suggests they have something to hide and they're trying to bury something that customers might not be so happy about. Based on the public information, though, there's no real way to know. But this is why I think transparency is the best policy, and you should be clear on exactly how you are processing customer information using AI. Additionally, I think it's important to note that the above examples represent a separate issue from unintended training, whereby you accidentally train a third party AI model on data you wish you hadn't. I'm just talking about processing and retaining sensitive data. And this is something that basically every organization already lets third parties do, unless you're running your entire infrastructure on your own hardware. And obviously, you should be concerned about whether fourth parties are also training on your data, but this doesn't appear to be happening in these specific examples. So I just want to make that distinction clear. All right. That's all for this episode of the Deploy Securely podcast. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen. And please like, comment, and subscribe if you find this useful and want to keep getting actionable AI security information. Thanks a lot.